Now I know what's going on. So you've been posting every single day. And I mean, you've been posting your reels. You've been dropping them carousels. You've been hitting threads. You got some quotes you got going on. But the problem is it your brand? Okay, hold on. Let me see. You got a logo. You got a color palette. You might even have a bio that says in it that you are a result-driven coach helping entrepreneurs level up. Now, that's what it says. But guess what? Your calendar's still dried in the Sahara Desert. Here's the truth. Here's what nobody is trying to tell you. And they don't want to say it out loud. Your personal brand, it's working perfectly. It's just working against you. Now, if you give me a little time in the next few minutes, we're going to sit here and we're going to break down and show you the difference between a personal brand that generates clients and one that generates content. Because see, there's a major difference. And that major difference could be the rise or the fall of how you are successful when it comes to your online business. Because you have to understand, content and clients, they're not the same. So slow down, take a seat, get you something to drink, and let's get into what we really need to get into. All right. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to Podcast for Profits. I'm your founder, Tony Porter. I help coaches, content creators, and consultants, along with a lot of service providers, turn their podcast into a personal brand and turn it into a client-generating machine, not just as a content machine, but as a client machine. See, I've been in the trenches of this game for a very long time, and I've been in here long enough to know the difference between someone who looks like an expert online and someone who actually gets paid like one. And today, we're going to break down the framework that separates the two. All right. This particular podcast episode is for you if you've been building a brand but not building a business. If people know your name but don't nobody buy, that's a major setback we need to fix. And if your reach is growing but your revenue's still stuck on zero, we also need to take a deep dive of audit and get into that too. Okay. So by the time we're done, you will know exactly why and exactly what to fix. So if you're ready to get into this episode, because this episode is very, very, very important for your personal brand, then I suggest you buckle up, grab you something to drink, cop a squat, and let's do this. All right, so let's rock out. Now, in order for us to get to the root of everything, we need to know what the core problem is. All right, so here's what the internet told you your personal brand was. All right, so it told you to post consistently. It told you to have a niche. It also told you to build your logo, pick you a color palette, write a good bio, show your face, tell your story. Now, none of that's wrong. So we might as well understand that none of that there is wrong at all. But here's the problem. Most people build a personal brand the way you build a museum exhibit. If you've never been to like the Smithsonian or something like that, just take a look at the exhibits. They're building their brand like it's something to look at. They're building their brand like it's something to admire. Now, don't get me wrong. You want to be visible. You want to have a presence online. And then you also want to make sure that something that you because they build it like this, they're saying this person exists and they know some good stuff. But is that the real way you want to proceed yourself? See, those are the questions you got to dig down and ask yourself. Is this really how I want to be perceived? Now, what they didn't build, see, they didn't take the time out to build the one thing that helps every entrepreneur out here, and that's leverage. Now, leverage means that your brand is doing work, and it's doing work while you are laying down and taking a nap at night, because I call it taking a nap because I don't sleep at all. But it works while you're sleeping. It's the positioning that is doing before you even get on a sales call. It's marketing that is doing before you get on a sales call. And it's making the right person see your content immediately and think, I need to really sit down and chop it up with this person. Liability means your brand is costing you. And that's not what we want. We don't want the liability. See, it's costing you your credibility. It's costing you your conversations. It's costing you your conversions. It's costing you clients you don't even know are watching you. And that's beyond, it's not beyond your control, but what it is, it's a mistake that we need to really, hone in on and fix. Because the real mistake that's going on with this side of your personal brand and a lot of other people's personal brand is this. People confuse visibility for authority. See, they think, and most content creators and service providers, they all think the same way. I was one of them. I ain't gonna lie to you. I used to think this all the time. You know, we think and they think and everybody else thinks because people are watching, people are buying. No. See, visibility means one thing, but here's what you don't understand. Visibility without positioning is just a whole lot of white noise out here, like on TV. And for those who don't know what white noise is like when you were back in the day, when you would be watching TV, and back then TV didn't stay on 24/7. 12 o'clock, all of the little fuzz would show up. Shh. You heard them little sounds in the back. That's white noise. So you really got to sit back and you think, when you're visible, what are you being visible about? Okay. So you can have 10,000 followers and 0 clients. Now, I've literally did a case study on it before. There was a celebrity who had like 1.5 million followers, but yet and still tried to build a t-shirt brand and nobody bought. Now, check this out. When I first started, before my channel had got disrupted, I was like that. I had probably about 5,000 followers on a brand that I was building for the podcast. But I had nobody at that particular time who was interested in podcasting because I wasn't positioning myself as the authority figure. Once I figured out to focus on one specific avenue and lane, that's when everything changed for me. And like I said, back in the early days, building this brand, I was posting every single day. I literally thought that I was building something. I was happy. I was following everybody. Post every single day. You'll get it done. That was the mantra that was presented to me. If you post every day, like I think it was the movie The Natural, Field of Dreams. That's what it was, Field of Dreams. It says, you build it, they'll come. Well, I built it. Nobody came the way I wanted it to be done. All right. So, what I realized is I wasn't positioning myself to solve a specific problem for specific people, or at least for one specific person. See, when you got to understand person and people, one's singular, one's plural, correct? Okay. So if that's the case, why am I focusing on people when I should just focus on one and let that build into everybody else? I didn't understand that. I was just so happy to be digitally inclined and doing what I could do. All right. But at that particular time, I was just existing online. Now, the day everything changed for me wasn't the day I got more followers. It was the exact day that I got clear on what my brand was going to do. Not just what I wanted to say. See, your brand is either opening doors or closing them. And that's it. There's no gray area. There's nothing in between that. There's no neutral positioning. You either opening the doors or you're closing them doors. All right. So you have to understand, when we're positioning ourselves to be this particular type of way, you got to understand that you have to have a framework. So let's talk framework. Now, I like to use the L.E.A.P personal brand framework when it comes to my personal brand. Now, if you've paid any attention to any of my other podcast episodes, I talk about the magnetic messaging framework. I talk about the paid framework. Now we got the LEAP framework that I want to discuss. Now, believe it or not, each one of these is embedded into my podcast. Each one of these is embedded into every video that I create. Each one of these is embedded into any situation that I could possibly have. All right. So let's talk the LEAP personal brand framework. I want to give you 4 things that you can audit today, not tomorrow, not sometime or another, but today. All right. So I call it the LEAP personal brand framework. And it's simple. You got L, it's legibility, E, evidence, the A is for alignment, and the P is for pipeline. All right. So let's break this down today. All right. So number 1, you got legibility. Legibility means, can a stranger land on your profile and know within 5 seconds exactly who you are, what you do, and what they should do next? Now, who you are and who you help, that shift matters more than anything else inside of this podcast episode. See, most bios are resumes. You have to think about that. They list the titles, the credentials, the accomplishments, but clients, or should I say a client, doesn't care about your journey. See, this is where we get misconstrued at, because you're not the one. Your problems is not helping solve their problem. So you have to let them know. They want to flip it. You want to make your brand legible from the perspectives. All right. Have audit questions. If someone who's never heard of you lands on your profile today, what problem do they immediately know you can solve? If your answer is complicated, your brand is a legibility problem. All right. What does that mean? It means fix that first. Everything else depends on that. And so you have to take these and you have to go in. Listen, you have to go in order. A lot of people want to jump around and try to fix things. I'm guilty of that, but you have to go in order. So once you fix your legibility problem, move to step number 2. And that's the evidence. You know what that means? Does your content prove that you can actually get results from it? Not testimonials only, and it's definitely not screenshots only, but you need to have some content demonstrations for your expertise to be on your real timeline. So sometimes you got to do some tutorials. Sometimes you got to do some mapping out. Sometimes you just got to walk through and show some things. All right. Sometimes you just got to be able to connect with people. See, the difference between coaching, or should I say a coach who says I help people grow, and a coach who shows you a 5-minute breakdown of exactly how they fix their client's Instagram in real time, which one creates the belief? Which one creates belief and which one creates followers? Now, see, in my early days in my podcast journey, I had a guest who never promoted the episode, but the episode itself became a case study. And people was like hitting me up, and they was, saying, I took the framework from the episode and broke it and booked 3 more clients. So you went from 2 to 5. It's one of the people that I was talking to, and they was like, yeah, that's the evidence. Your content needs to be so good that someone walks away thinking, okay, I'm a believer now. If that's the free stuff, I can only imagine what paying this person is going to do for my personal brand and my abilities to be very seen. All right. Now, authority isn't declared, it's demonstrated. Every piece of content is either building your case or building something or for someone else. All right. Now, let's talk number 3. All right. Number 3 is alignment. Alignment means, does your brand match your offer? This is where a lot of folk lose the game and they never recover from it. And they don't even know they lost it. You're posting lifestyle content but selling a business course. You're talking about mindset but selling a done-for-you service. You're building a personal brand around you instead of around the transformation that you provide. Your brand has to be a preview of what it looks like to work with you. That's it. not a highlight reel of who you are. You got to be able to produce content that shows not what you do, but what you can help others get accomplished. That's the transformation. So think about it this way. If I'm selling a podcast monetization system, every piece of content that I create should make you feel the gap between where you are and where my system can take you. That's simple in my head, but I have to be able to help someone understand what it is to be in that position and for them to see how that brand works. So that's what you do. You make it to where that brand works. So my brand is the bridge. Is your brand the bridge? You have to ask yourself that question. Or is your brand just that billboard that you see when you're on the highway and it's advertising? So audit questions. Look at your last 9 posts. Do they lead someone towards your offer or away from it? That's the question, man. We're not being, you know, meticulous about things. That's the question. That's the question that you truly have to answer. And then P is for your pipeline. Pipeline. What does that mean? Oh, I'll tell you what it means. Does your brand have a next step built in? Can you take a person from one step to another? This is the one that most people skip because they just don't get it. And it took me a while to understand it. Now, once I understood it, I was like, okay, how do I get others to get to where I'm at and to understand, not just in the pipeline, but you have to do one thing, and you need to make sure that your brand creates awareness. So your content will build trust, but if there's no door to walk through, no CTA, no lead magnet, no DM to trigger, no community to join, you're leaving money on the table every single day. You gotta have leverage. And leverage means your brand flows into your funnel. Every piece of content should and must have a next step baked in. It's like, listen, it's like cooking a Gordon Ramsay meal. Got to have the ingredients. What over here is the base. That's the meat, the entree. Everything else leads into making it a 5-star world-class dish. All right. Inside my system, every piece of content connects to one of 3 things: a podcast episode, the media leverage reports, which is the free blog, or sometimes it's a direct conversation. Nothing exists in isolation. Every post has a job, every single one of them. Now, here's what you got to understand. A personal brand without a pipeline is just a portfolio. And portfolios don't pay your bills. So with that being said, you have to get one thing correct, and that's your mindset. Now, here's the belief I want you to walk away with today. Your personal brand is not a marketing tool. It's a business asset. And like any other asset, it either appreciates or depreciates based on how you manage it. Stop thinking about your brand as what I post online and start thinking about it as the impression I leave in the room before I walk in. All right. When your brand is working, and I mean doing this job, really digging in, homing in on what it needs to do, clients don't find you, they come to you, and they're already sold. Them conversations is a confirmation. It's not a pitch. Now, that's the leverage, and that's what it feels like. When your brand is a liability, clients show up confused, skeptical. They ain't in it. Not at all. You're working twice as hard just to get to the starting line. And growing up in the hood, growing up in West Louisville, see, listen, everybody says, I have this go-to story, right? Now, here's the one thing the streets taught me early. Your reputation walks before you do, and that's your brand. See, I could tell you my whole backstory, but I'm going to tell you what happens and what has happened. And see, once you put your name on something, now your name, your reputation is what's at stake. The question is never whether you have a personal brand, because you do. See, the question is whether it's doing work for you and doing the work that it needs to do, And we want to make sure that our personal brand, which leads into podcast for profits, is turning conversations into currency. But that's only when the brand does its job now. Because this is the umbrella of the Anthony Porter Official. Here's what you got to understand. 3 things. Do them today. Be specific. It's simple. Just do it today. All right. Not this week, but today. Number 1, run your L.E.A.P audit on your profile right now. Open your IG, your LinkedIn, and score yourself on your legibility, your evidence, your alignment, and your pipeline. 1 through 10, be honest. You have to be honest with yourself. See, the number you're afraid to write is the one that matters the most. Number 2, rewrite your bio with 1 goal. Answer, what do I do to help and what problem do I solve? Drop every title, and then replace them with the transformation. All right. Like, one of the things you got to think about is I help. Make sure you're specific with the person. Go from their specific problem to their specific result. That's it. That's the bio. You don't have to be all out. You don't have to do all of that. All right. And then 3rd, last but not least, add 1 next step to your most recent post or your most recent video. Go to your most recent piece of content right now and add a CTA, a link, a DM keyword, something. All right. Something that creates the next step. Don't just let great content sit there doing nothing. Put that content to work. If you want to go deeper, here's what you need to do. Grab the Client Generating Podcast Blueprint. It's the blueprint to help you if you're even thinking about starting a podcast. But if you want to dig deeper into AI, because this is how we run the business. If you want to dig deeper into your AI systems. Now, first of all, the Content Generating Podcast Blueprint, that's free. But if you're trying to dig deeper without having to spend money first, because first of all, I will tell you this. Make sure that these are things that you want to do. Subscribe to my blog, Media Leverage Reports. We break down everything. Each week, you would get access to the Media Leverage Reports. All right, we post a new every Wednesday. So that's basically it, man. It's free. It's going to be in the description below. It's built. Everything is built exactly for you to take the next step without having to come out of your pocket. That's all we want you to do. We want you to feel comfortable enough to say, okay, Anthony gets me. Anthony's helping. And that's what I'm here for. I've gone down this road. I've built this brand. I've also struggled. I don't want to see people struggle. So in this world of AI, that's what I'm here for. All right. Now, if your brand is currently leverage or a liability, drop that in the comments. I read every one of them, and I swear I will get back to you. So I want to thank you for stopping by today. I want to thank you for taking your time out hanging out with your boy. This was a subtle podcast episode, and I needed it to be because I wanted it to hit home. I wanted to come with a different energy because I wanted you to sit down. This is meticulous about how I approach this because I wanted you to focus in on that personal brand. Personal branding is here. And as we go along further down the lanes, you will understand why it's so important to have your personal brand done the way you want it to have. All right. All right, man. Again, I appreciate you. Thank you for stopping by. Listen, we turn conversations into currency. Do everything I ask you to do and start turning yours into currency and building your own business. I'm going to see y'all when I see y'all, man. Peace.